I truly wish that I had archery skills as great as Katniss Everdeen, but if I had to make a video to show my poor skills at that sport, it would be as bad as the New York Jets trying to figure out who their quarterback is going to be for the next season. To make a quick disclaimer before I begin this review, I'd just like to say that I only read half of the book going into this movie, but I also used that as my plan in order to know half of what was going to happen in this movie, and let the other half kind of play out as surprise for me in order to amp up that effect. But I promise I will read it in the future to finish it up, and just to show you how far I am at chapter 13 right now. And I honestly was going to finish this last night, but the fact that I had finals ending in addition to the American reunion screen I attended last night, I just couldn't find the time to really finish it all. I tried to, but I was way too tired, and now I really regret that. The Hunger Games is the adaptation in the first novel in the Hunger Games trilogy written by Suzanne Collins, and it's set in the world of Panem, which has a capital in the center for all the rich people, and it's also split by these 12 districts that surround the area, and the reason it has that is because a war broke out years and years ago, and as a punishment to those who took part, the world was split into 12 districts, and the capital instituted this event called the Hunger Games, in which children duke it out to the death. I was really looking forward to this movie because from what I had read of the novel, I was really infused with all the characteristics of all the very colorful characters throughout, and Katniss Everdeen was one of the best leading ladies that I've read in a book in a long time, so I had a lot of hype going into this movie even for only reading half of it, and I got very satisfied with what I got in the end. Jennifer Lawrence is just about everything that I would imagine that Katniss Everdeen would be on screen. Her strong-willed personality, her carefree attitude for everyone around her, but also she doesn't take crap from anyone, which she will step up to the fight in just a second in a flash. And I always love seeing that strong-willed and femme fatale characters because we don't really get a lot of those these days, but the fact that we get this adaptation coming to the big screen, Jennifer Lawrence does a terrific job with her very naturalistic and raw performance. As for the rest of the cast though, I think everyone else does a very considerable job at relishing within the characteristics of their varying characters. However, I really like to point out that my favorites in particular were Elizabeth Banks as Effie Trinket, who was nearly unrecognizable behind all of that makeup and glamour, Lenny Kravitz as Cinna, who's one of the nicest guys I've ever seen on screen since Paul Rudd's performances in the past, in addition to Woody frickin' Harrelson. Director Gary Ross does a great job at bringing the setting to life as he really splits his direction into two halves. One for the setting of District 12 and the Hunger Games itself, where he uses a lot of handheld shots to make you feel like you're there in the event. And while it can be a complaint for the games itself when he uses a lot of shaking cam, it's supposed to make you feel like you're in the event with all those people around you where you're just as disoriented and as fatigued as they are fighting it to the death. But the way that he brings the Capitol to life in particular, where everything's very still throughout, he does a great job within the technicality with all of his filmmakers around him. As the costume design, the art direction, everything is just beautiful to look at. And I won't be surprised if a couple of those technicality categories will get Oscar nominations next year. As for any problems I did have, there were a few things here and there from the first half of the book that I did read that they ended up leaving out and inserting with a few new things. While they were interesting enough for the movie, it did feel like there were certain parts that were left out, but I'm not going to be that kind of snob that picks the movie apart in comparison to the book and the movie, as I'm just going to sum up to say that I had a really fun time with the movie. It's not as great as I thought it would be, but at the same time, it's a very solid first entry to this hopefully terrific franchise in the future, and that's why I'm going to give The Hunger Games a very strong 4 out of 5 stars. So I hope you enjoyed my review of The Hunger Games. I'll have my early review up for Mirror Mirror tomorrow, and hopefully I'll get a screening for Wrath of the Titans next week as well. And as you can see, I'm back at my original location, new backdrop as well. So in the meantime, I'm Tar from CaliCritic Reviews. Look forward to many videos. I'm on my spring break for the next week, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.